Welcome to Am I the Bleep?
Welcome to Am I the Bleep, the podcast where Dr. Jonathan Rahm and me, Jonathan Friedman, whichever is more grammatically correct, but I don't care because I'm the asshole, decide who the asshole is or isn't, and also offer some coaching tips for those people who submitted their posts onto the interwebs, onto Reddit. Jonathan Rahm, Dr. Jonathan Rahm, Dr. Jonathan Ramathan, how we doing today?
Good. I see that you submitted your name to be the asshole of the episode. Is that correct? Are you top dog now?
Oh, I see in my Zoom preference. That's just a default setting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, I see.
So today, right before, so historically, we've been recording these later in the evening before dinner.
Mhm.
And in the past couple recordings, we've recorded around 1 p.m. on a
Yeah,
Monday because it's Monday. You got to record an episode.
exactly.
And I thought, I've been up since 6. I've had coffee and I haven't eaten yet. And I need to eat something. So I had these chicken thighs I made yesterday.
Sure.
And I put a literal shit ton worth of hot sauce onto these chicken thighs. I thought this can't go wrong. It's perfect.
You're
And
gonna make it through this episode?
I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying
Sure.
the chicken.
Sure.
Everything feels good. And then
Okay.
I notice like the things that happen to your body when you eat spicy food.
Right.
Like your throat is a little, and I thought to myself, I'm a vocalist. I know all this stuff. I tell everyone all the time, no, if you're gonna be performing, if you're gonna be recording something, don't eat spicy food, don't
Yeah.
drink carbonated beverages,
Mm-hmm.
keep it chill. And if you can, have some hot water with some honey before. And what
Sure.
did I do? I washed down my hot chicken thighs, with some beautiful soda stream water.
Okay, so
So
you've done all the things that you shouldn't do. So what
yeah.
kind of audio experience can we look forward to in this episode, would you say?
So there might be some burps, there might be
Okay.
some belches, which I've come to understand are different things. Would you agree, or are they the same thing?
Why don't you tell me what the difference is, and
I
I'll be the judge. What's the difference there?
I feel like a belch is like a Homer Simpson level, like it's audible. It's not just like a little burp. It's like I can't burp on
Oh,
command and I'm not going
like
to do it.
it evokes like the lower lungs. It's not just like a little guy. It's
Yeah, it's not just like a little air bubble. It's like
right,
it,
right.
it it's an earthquake. It's an
Okay.
earthquake.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Sure.
I don't know, belch gives me that vibe. There might be my voice might be a little raspier. Hopefully I don't start to like get snotty for the people who are watching this on YouTube. But I did this time bring a napkin with me, so that's smart. And that's feeling good. I was on TikTok the other day doing a live, and I did the same freaking thing. And I thought, oh, like this can't go wrong. And hopefully, third time I'll learn my lesson. I just started like getting really snotty on camera, and I'm like, y'all have to excuse me for a second. And then I come back, and I had no more people there. That they signed up for the wrong thing.
So if you're watching this on YouTube, what I want you to do, this is now napkin watch and burp watch. And so
Mm-hmm.
record how many times you think you see Johnny releasing some sort of liquid or gas from his face, and get in the
Mm-hmm.
comments, put your comment in. Whoever gets the closest, or whichever random person gets the exact right number, we'll send you a bespoke message apologizing for how unprofessional we are as podcasters.
And speaking of that, Dr. John, you know what should be coming out of our mouth instead of snot?
I really couldn't even guess. So why don't
No,
you
no,
tell
no.
me?
You have to try. You have to try. It's okay. You don't even have to try.
Uh
You don't even have to bother. Don't even worry about it. It's gonna
no,
be.
no, no, no.
Oh no,
I want to
please.
try.
All right, go. Sorry.
Praise for the brave men and women
Hmm.
who will be editing this podcast and then listening to this podcast and having to edit out all your gaseous interruptions.
Cheers to you, John Cena. But until then,
Exactly.
we're gonna have our very, very first post, and I'll just go ahead and read it. Or did
Let's
you want
do
to
it.
read it? What do you feel?
You know what? I think it's your turn to start us off. So why don't you break this fast and get us going?
Sometimes I feel like a really old couple with you, where it's like, no, it's your turn to do it, Jonathan. It's your
I
turn.
mean, I mean, we basically are. I feel like after 40 years of marriage, we've established quite a routine.
Really strong communication.
Really strong
The
communication.
strongest. Okay, well, John, stop talking. It's my turn. All right.
Never.
um, all right. Will I be the asshole if I ask my wife to stop washing her grandson's laundry? This is posted by EPHSFs 828,
My favorite AI.
my favorite AI. So, will I be the asshole if I ask my wife to stop washing her grandson's laundry? My stepdaughter has apparently always been a terrible housekeeper. From her refusal to clean her bedroom as a child, to living with her fiance, who is the father to her son, to now being married. Their home is about 1,500 square feet and has about a 3/4 acre yard. They have they only have the son, 11-year-old, with them full time, and the husband's daughter every other weekend. The stepdaughter is 28, works 4 10-hour days as an RN or registered nurse. She's currently pursuing her BSN, which is Bachelor's of Specialized Nursing,
No, I don't think that's.
Bachelor of Science, maybe.
Oh, maybe a Bachelor of Science. The N is capitalized though, so I'm not
Hmm.
sure. You know what? You keep reading. I'll give it. I'll do a quick Google.
Put yourself on mute. Yeah, exactly. Take that, John. She's currently pursuing her BSN. We'll see what we can find on that. The husband is 29 and is a welder slash fabricator who works 40 to 45 hours a week and is in school for computer networking. So they're busy people, obviously. But my issue is that my wife drives over about 15 minutes away to get the kids' dirty clothes, which are usually scattered around his bedroom. She brings them to our house to wash, dry, and fold, then takes them back and puts them away. She'll often bring the adults' clothes too. Every so often, she will stay over there for a few hours just cleaning their house. Go for it.
It's a Bachelor of Science in nursing, just so that you know.
Yes, we were both right.
It expands your horizons as an RN, basically.
We were both
Go
right,
for
and
it.
by both of us, I mean also the Jonathans in my head. She'll
So
often, yeah,
no, go ahead. It sounds like it's a rousing it's a rousing post. I'm very
yeah,
interested.
yeah. Stop interrupting me. She'll often bring the adults' clothes too. Every so often, she'll stay over there for a few hours cleaning their house. I see no reason why they can't do their own laundry. At this point, it's like they expect us to do the laundry for them, making no effort to do it themselves. The stepdaughter didn't work or go to school when she was with her ex, so the argument that she is way too busy is just meaningless because that house was a disaster also. I'm confident that once she has her BSN, her Bachelor's of Science and Nursing, that there will be no change in her habits. My wife does very little housework at our home, so it bothers me a lot that she takes better care of their home than ours. So, will I be the asshole if I told her she needs to stop using her time and our resources to help her daughter keep house? Dr. Jonathan Ramathan, where are you at? What you feeling? What's going on in that head of yours?
This is funny. I mean, okay, yeah, like this isn't too difficult. Don't do this. Thank you for asking before you did it. Don't do this, my friend. The You will be a big asshole if you do this. And here's how I got there. Basically, you have decided that your free labor from your wife is being misdirected, misappropriated towards your daughter, and
Yeah.
you have given several paragraphs of justification for why that appropriation of your free labor is going to the wrong place. Listen, I don't know if your daughter is going to be um coddled or enabled or just basically pampered and spoiled by her mom um for forever. I don't know if I don't know if that's going to be something that is really any of your concern. I think that as her stepfather, you have a right to be concerned if that's what you're concerned about. But honestly, that last sentence, my wife does very little housework at home, so it bothers me a lot that she takes better care of their home than ours. I think it's, we assume positive intent in these posts. I think the positive intent is that you don't want your daughter to become a louse, a lazy bum. But frankly, it sounds like you've modeled this behavior a little bit, because you're describing yourself. You're portraying yourself as a bit lazy, that you don't want to do the housework, and that you feel like the wife is obligated to do the housework. So, taking a step back, I would say that maybe it's there should be a discussion about the equal division of labor, but your wife doing a nice thing for her daughter is not the issue. I think that you have maybe displaced your feelings towards where her attention is going, because you want the attention. What do you think? What do you think, Johnny? Maybe this is an open and shut. Maybe I'm rushing to a conclusion here, but it just seems that he kind of gave the plot away at the end.
So for me, right now on Reddit slash r am I the asshole, it says 6.9 million potential assholes, but really I see 6.9 point one, however you do the math there. There's one extra potential asshole here. However decimals work, I thought I could do it and I couldn't do it, but that's okay. And I think you hit the nail on the head too, because are you gonna go keyboard warrior and find the math over there, John? Like,
I don't need to. I think it would be one. There would be like 5 zeros before that one if you were going to add one more.
Yeah, the decimal screwed me up.
Exactly.
Thanks for your help, Dr. John.
No worries. Hey, anytime.
I think you hit the nail on the head. I think if the issue was, will I be the asshole if I cared for my stepdaughter who is not able to take care of herself? No, that's a nice thing to care about. That's totally okay. And you can talk about, healthy living habits and hygiene, and you could really do some really important work. And maybe figure out a schedule where, you can all help and take turns with certain thing while they're in school and working. Figure out a good system, maybe a chore wheel for everybody. There needs to be something put into place. No question. But the reasoning seems to be, and this is where we would encapsulate, like, is this really what you think? That the wife, so the wife does very little housework at our home, so it bothers me that she takes better care of their home. And will I be the asshole if she needs to stop using her time and our resources to help her daughter keep house? Our resource here, it seems like, is your wife who's doing the housekeeping. Now, it's weird to look at people as resources that way. I think it leaves a bit of a sour taste in my mouth. It's a little old school. I think that you just need to have a conversation with your wife about like your house. But if she wants to do something nice for the daughter, or the stepdaughter rather, that's that's nice. That's out of your control. Um, yeah, I would say this is definitely the asshole here, just because the thinking is the problem. Like, to your point, John, there's 4 paragraphs here of like the justification, and then it's like, no, it bothers me not because all of that's messed up. It bothers me because she should be cleaning our home. And I do think this is an open and closed case. Case open, case closed.
So I want to maybe like expand the circle a little bit to include
Expand it.
other kinds of problems where, let's say you're in a situation where someone you're in a relationship with is doing something very generous and kind for someone else, and you wish that they were doing that thing for you, or for the relationship.
It's a good
Not
comparison.
necessarily. Yeah. I think that first of all, congratulations for dating someone who's generous, or being with someone who's generous, and cares about other people. That's very important. But also, I don't think a little bit of jealousy is the end of the world. But I think that people will do mental gymnastics in order to justify their jealousy as concern. And this is what this sounds like to me. It sounds like bending over backwards so you can justify your jealousy, your desire to benefit from what your stepdaughter is benefiting from, as some sort of concern for your stepdaughter. That is an intellectualization that is it's a coping mechanism that people use to deal with their problems, and it's not really a healthy one, because you can intellectualize anything to make yourself feel better, but if you avoid the problem forever, then eventually it's going to lead to more problems. I think the problem it would lead to here is that you would have a fight with your partner over her trying to help her daughter, who has a full-time job and is going to be studying, and whose partner has a full-time job and has a child. And so on the side of the original poster, we are on the side of the original poster. The coaching would be, if you want your house to be cleaner, what you are suggesting that you are about to do will have the opposite effect. You will cause a fight. You will seem very petty and jealous and selfish, and your house won't be any cleaner to boot. So don't do this. Don't do this. Assess where it is you're coming from. Make peace with whatever the feeling is that is causing you to do what you're about to do. And then from there, try to make it into a healthier impulse, maybe a more effective impulse, and ask yourself, how can I make this house cleaner? And how can I recruit my partner to want to do this, and also recognize that she is doing a kind thing for her daughter, which I think that may be also a little bit
Yeah,
of a
that's missed here,
reframing.
I feel.
You have to acknowledge that she is doing something very nice, that if you were in your daughter's shoes, whether you were forever a slob or just recently one, you would really appreciate it. It's really hard to do all those things and keep your house clean, and that does not make you a bad person or a bad nurse or a bad mom or anything like that if you are not a naturally neat person.
Yeah, and part of the justification too is they only have the son, and she's only in school for, you know, or sorry, only working as an RN 10 hours a day. Being an RN's hard.
Yeah.
That's not like what we do, where we just sit and do nothing for a week and then come on and record a podcast 1 hour a week. That's being a freaking nurse and also pursuing a degree, who's also with a husband who's doing very tough physical labor with this hot fiery thing that makes pew pew noises with metal, and
That's
is
what it
also
does.
going to school for computer stuff, while having only, quote unquote, for those listening at home, notice the sarcasm here, an 11-year-old son. Just parenting an 11-year-old son is hard. And like their home is about 1,500 square feet in a 3/4 acre yard. That's a lot of stuff to clean. I have a 900 square foot apartment, which I'm super grateful for that I have it. But even that's tough to clean. And all I do is podcast for an hour a week. So 100%, you got to notice that your wife is doing the good stuff. Put it on a pedestal, because who wouldn't want a partner who does good stuff for their family and their kids? And also, my hunch, when you show up as somebody who is putting those behaviors on a pedestal, they tend to show up in more places.
Mm-hmm.
If you're saying, wow, like it's so nice that you're so generous with everybody, and that's something that I really, really love about you, my dear wife, there's going to be more generosity, my friend. It's going to be cool. And, something we can learn from our partner too, in this case, I think.
What you focus on grows, and this is no exception.
Mic drop. Very
And
nice.
and speaking on growing, I'm gonna grow the runtime of this podcast. Is that
With
anything?
another post. I thought you were
No.
gonna. I thought you were gonna jump off the word exception, where you were gonna say, and for once, we're gonna be the exception to the rule, where we're not gonna segue into the next post, and
Mm.
have kind of like an anti segue. But go ahead, John. It's your turn.
Reasonable County 85 asks, am I the asshole for embarrassing, and this is in quotes, my husband by leaving the room whenever he chews gum? For background, I absolutely hate the sound of chewing. It's bugged me since I was a kid. I don't know how to fully describe it, Miss Phonia, but the sound is so bad to me that it takes me angry. It makes me angry, even though I know it's irrational. On top of that, the noise can't fade into the background for me. It always becomes the only thing I can hear. Gum is the absolute worst offender for this, probably because it's so sticky and makes a particular smacking noise. However, this is never an issue when people chew with their mouths closed. The mouth being closed provides enough of a buffer for the sound that it doesn't bother me. My husband has picked up a gum chewing habit the last few years due to stress. He loves it, but he also has a really bad habit of chewing it with his mouth open. This has created some conflict because of my own hatred of the sound. The rundown of the events. Wow, this is very detailed. I asked him if he could tone down his chewing a bit. He is chewing gum for hours a day every day. He said it's not fair for me to police how often he chews gum. Absolutely a good point, but I don't want to tell him he can't chew gum. I asked him if he could chew with his mouth closed, but when I'm around and got the same response. That was a bit more annoying, but I figured still fair enough. I asked him if he could at least not chew gum when I'm in a situation where I'm forced to hear it, like if we're in the car together or it's because falling asleep or before falling asleep in bed or something. He said he would try. I agree with him that it's not fair to tell him he can't chew gum, and maybe even my requests for how he chews it are overstepping. So I figured the easiest thing I can do is just leave the room when he's chewing gum. We both work at home and tend to work in the living room. So if he started chewing gum, I just go to the bedroom or kitchen. If he's chewing gum before bed, I fall asleep on the couch and move to the bed once he falls asleep. These are just two examples, but any situation where I can, I just try to create some distance between us when he's chewing gum. That way, I don't have to hear the noise, I don't get agitated and end up getting snippy. This has only happened once, and I want to avoid it ever happening again. I don't ever say that I'm doing it because of the gum chewing, because he takes that as me trying to guilt trip him. I just leave. Last night we had some friends over to play video games, and he started chewing gum while they were over. I stuck it out for as long as I could and then took a break in the kitchen to wash the dishes. Our friends asked him why I left, so he asked me, and I told him honestly that it was because of the gum. He then accused me of being a controlling asshole who clearly wanted to make a show out of it in front of other people to embarrass him. Since the friends, of course, asked why he didn't just cool it on the gum if it bothered me so much. I wasn't trying to shame him, just take a break from the sound, but am I the asshole for making him feel embarrassed? Johnny Bonnie Fofani, what's the buzz? What do you think here?
So you threw in an extra word there at the beginning, and if you want to just quickly explain what it meant.
A misphonia is a condition where one is acutely bothered greatly by traditionally annoying sounds like someone chewing with their mouth open or chewing gum with their mouth open, or even something like the clicking of a pen. Basically, the sound is all they can focus on, and it irritates them greatly. Um, and yeah, it's fairly common. I don't think it's it only tends to be a problem when it's a problem, like if you can't get out of situations where people are doing those things, then it's a severe issue because it's distracting you from your day. But if you're in your day-to-day, you don't encounter it in your life, and it's just something that bothers you every once in a while, it's not as big a deal.
So
Basically, I have a friend who has this, and she has threatened my life and the life of others if I didn't stop basically chewing next to her.
you do eat loudly.
I do. And you know what? And the problem is that you establish these habits very early, and it's very you have to be very mindful to stop doing them. And I've come a great way, but yes, I am a loud chewer.
So I'm gonna say not the asshole because I don't think the intention was, I don't even like, she literally just left the room, and then he's like, "What's the problem?" And she's like, "Well, it's the gum." And this has been something they've been having a conversation about for a long time. And when they were the rundown of the events, I asked him if he could tone down his chewing. He said it's not fair to police how he chews gum. Absolutely a good point, and I don't want to tell him he can't chew gum. I asked him if he could chew with his mouth closed, and you got around the same response, but still fair enough. And then you ask if there's a situation when you're forced to be in the same place, if he could not do it, and he said he would try. And this is a situation, you have friends over. It's a situation where you're in the same spot, and you went to go take a break. And I think if you were in the same room and you're like, I said no more chewing gum, and you go like full lizard brain mode and sort of, make conflict, and it happens to all of us. I'm not saying that like don't not be human, it happens. But that would be a different thing. I could see how that would be embarrassing. But
Mhm.
literally, in all instances, she's just like, okay, he's gonna do what he's gonna do, and I'm gonna go to the other room. It's not like I need to go take a break and take care of my own mental state. And I think that's the best solution. What I will say though, just behaviorally speaking, there needs to be some like replacement behavior setups in place here, because to your point, this is affecting their lives, it seems like, on the daily, especially if they're both working in the same
Yeah.
place. She needs to go to a different place. It's affecting their friendships. So for example, and I'm not saying that this is the solution, but there are lots of other things that you can do depending on why you need to chew gum. Like fidget toys could be a good example. Like I know somebody who
Silent fidget toys, ideally.
silent fidget toys ideally. I know people, like, for example, as a different example, like I know people who pick their fingers, and then having something like this to play with in their hands, the function of the thing they do is not to self-harm, it's literally just needing to like pick at something. And this is like a perfectly suitable replacement. Talking to a doctor or an occupational therapist or somebody like that about different things you can use to replace that behavior could be a really good thing. I know.
For reference, I just realized that for people who are listening to
Yeah.
the podcast version of this, Johnny just held up a stress ball.
And I'm just like silent. I'm like, yeah, like things like this
Like
and like
this.
squeezy noises for
You
all
just
of you
start
people
doing
who have the same issue. And I'm
all
just like
sign
causing.
language.
Oh man, I'm so sorry. And then in terms of the person with this misphonia, you said it's called.
Yeah.
Um, I remember seeing something like this, and I thought it would be a really cool solution for when I was a youth worker working with individuals with autism who also have very sensitive hearing. Very different thing, but there are these headphones so you could literally turn up and down the environment around you,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought that was really, really, really cool. I
Yeah.
forget exactly what they're called, but that could be a really good solution too. Obviously, wearing earplugs or something like that could also be intrusive, and depending, on the sound, it could be problematic as well. Um, I feel like there's got to be some different tools, and maybe John, you can speak to that a bit as well. But are you the asshole for embarrassing your husband by leaving the room whenever he chews gum? You're not making a big stink about it. You're just like going and taking care of yourself. I think that's perfectly fine, but I do think you both need to find a better solution for yourselves.
Yeah, I would say you're not the asshole. But the interesting discussion here
Yep.
is that misophonia, when it came up in medical school, my friend who has this issue, she made the point that the treatment for misophonia is cognitive behavioral therapy for the
Hmm.
person who has misophonia. She did point out that why can't people also not chew next to her? It's her nightmare that people chew with their mouths open. And chewing with your mouth closed it's an etiquette thing, right? Like there's nothing definitively wrong other than it just offends and annoys other people and grosses them out. And so the etiquette, the kind thing to do is to learn to chew with your mouth closed, even if other people don't have misophonia. Just they want to not be yucked out by
Not see
your
the
gross,
garbage
gross
truck that's my
chewing.
mouth. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and one could go into conversations of like the cultural norms, and in some cultural norms, you're supposed to make a lot of mouth sounds. Like I know in Japan, you're supposed to make a lot of mouth sounds when you're eating the food in order to let the person who prepared it know that you like the food. And that's, you know, that's an example where eating with your mouth closed and quietly wouldn't be the right thing to do. Um, and so that might be why someone might push to say, oh, the person with the emotional reaction to hearing that noise is the one who should be taking care of, you know, doing something, being implementing something in order to deal with it better instead of the world around them changing. That being said, I don't know, it just seems, and maybe it's just because of how OP the original poster wrote it, right? Like maybe if we were to ask the husband, he'd give very real justifications
Fair
why, like
point.
he's really stressed out. The gum is the only thing that helps. He's tried to chew quietly. Like I understand that struggle. You try to chew quietly and then like you zone out for a second and all of a sudden you're back to the way you've chewed your entire life. And it's not purposeful, it's not malicious, it's just that the thing that I think the husband could work on, the thing that we would coach him on, is that your interpretation of what your partner is doing in order to spare your feelings is that she is trying to embarrass you, and there's something there, because you know you're inherently saying, I don't believe you, I think you're trying to embarrass me, I don't think you're trying to spare my feelings by quietly leaving the room. And I think that the coaching there would be to identify what's going on there. Like, why do you feel like your partner is trying to shame you, or cause fights when every action so far seems to point to it being the opposite? Maybe there would be good justifications, maybe not. For the original poster themselves, herself, I think we're going to have to point out that um you're not wrong for having this issue, and you've been trying to deal with it diplomatically. You might want to come to the conclusion that the diplomatic way that you've been trying to handle it is not effective, that
Yeah.
it is not yielding the results that you want. And that's okay. You tried something out of goodness of your heart and it didn't work out. So something else has to be tried. Something else has to be done so you both feel like you're being accommodated and being respected and being heard. That's okay. That's worth coming up with your partner, other than I'm just going to quietly avoid the problem, which famously doesn't usually work anyway. So
Yeah, and to your point too, you mentioned the treatment for this is CBT. And I think that, so that's cognitive behavioral therapy.
yeah.
It's like a common tool for working with individuals who are struggling with anxiety, depression, and a common tool to treat things like that or phobias is some kind of exposure and learning to warm up to it or learning how to be okay with things in your surroundings. And it could be a really important thing that, like, if that's the treatment that they choose to go to, which I think seems to be helpful in this case, that, you know, it's the partner can come with two to their own session and like kind of learn about like how to work with them while they're working on themselves and working on um, that treatment, like, and figuring out ways where they can both live in the house or they're both able to do their thing while they're, you know, getting it all sorted out. Not one couple, not one person does things in the same way, and it's important to sort of have like a joint intervention. That way you can hang out with your friends. Like, it's silly, like it's not silly. It's tough to be in a home where neither of you feel safe, and with something that's so like part like it's simple like chewing, or simple like listening. These are things that happen, so it's important to sort of get treatment, because as you're aging, those things are going to get louder, and that hearing is going to become more sensitive. So it's good to notice these things and sort of go to it now, I would say.
And I would say, and I'm just trying to predict the criticism here. I think that if someone listening to this says like, "Oh my God, it's gum chewing, calm down. Like this is not an issue. Like why are you guys treating this like it's such a big deal?" There's the analogy that if you have a piece of it's from Boy Meets World, so I apologize for
Perfect.
yeah, but basically if you have like a really a strong piece of material that you can't rip, but if you put a single little cut in it, you suddenly have a nucleus where you can rip from and create a big tear. And I think relationships have a big commonality there, where it only takes a small thing to breed resentment, and resentment is just relationship poison, because resentment starts to infect the other things in the relationship. It starts to infect how you view your partner, your patience with your partner. And I think that might be what we're seeing here. That's my guess. I don't know definitively, but I would say that the husband is absolutely escalated from this is a problem that I have between me and my partner because I annoy them with my chewing, to such betrayal, such embarrassment. How could you? I can't believe you've done this. It's very stark, but there's a lot of steps in between that we don't see. But the common starting point is the resentment that builds, and you have to deal with it. You have to deal with it with extreme prejudice, or else it never goes away.
And the best way to deal with things like that are going to places like the Journal That Talks Back, a place where you can journal with that. That was so good. That
That was
was
very good. No, keep
yeah.
going, keep going,
Oh,
keep
that was so
going.
good. I'm
It's a
beaming.
perfect segue.
I'm beaming. But then I ruined it. But it
Yeah,
doesn't
well,
matter. It
you're
doesn't
yeah.
matter.
No, it's okay. It's in
Uh,
posterity will remember your amazing transition and not the fact that you bragged about it immediately afterward.
well, the truth is, in the previous post, we're talking about cognitive behavioral therapy. We do actually have on the journalthattalksback.com a growing directory of resources that includes therapists, counselors, coaches, self help, text based tools, in person tools, harm
Mm.
reduction tools. So check that out. That's at the journalthattalksback.com/mental health directory. You can just go to our navigation or site search as well. But if you're interested in learning more about the way we coach, which is a little less goofy than this, but still a little bit fun, and we do it through journaling. You literally submit your journals to us, and your coach will read and respond to each journal within 24 hours. And it's just $200 a month for this unlimited coaching. There's no appointments or pay gates per journal or anything like that. If it's something that's even out of your price range, we do have the pay it forward fund as well. So we're
Mhm.
collecting funds to support people who can't afford it. Or you can even bring it to your employer and say, yo, you should bring this in. It's going to be helpful for me and also all of the rest of the marketing team. Um, However, you need to access it, book an intake call with me. Tell me what you need, and we'll figure out the best way, whether that's matching you with a coach, helping you to access other resources, putting you on the paid forward fund list, whatever you need. We got your back. If you're looking for something a little more comfortable, we also have a brand new merch shop where you can buy an Am I the Bleep sweatshirt, as well as a bunch of different shirts, t-shirts. We have mugs, some that just say mood because they're a mood. What can I say? And $5 from each of those sales is going to a rotating charity. If you're listening to this in April or May of 2023, that's to Sick Kids Hospital here in Toronto. If you're listening at a later date, we're rotating it every 2 months. And $5 from each sale also goes to support the Pay It Forward Fund to help people access coaching who couldn't otherwise afford it. So we're not profiting off of this. This is all to help support people who needs something, and you get a comfy shirt out of it. John, I think you actually got the Am I the Bleep hoodie. What do you think of it?
It is plush and soft and wonderful. The only reason I'm not wearing it is because it's quite warm in the basement right now.
That's fair.
But when I'm trying to get warm on those cold, chilly nights, I wear my merch with pride, and that's when I'm beaming.
You go to sleep thinking to yourself every night, "Am I the bleep?" while you're
Yeah,
snoring, right?
I'm almost certain I am in that case because I am wearing my own merch. But
Very
live your
nice.
best life, right?
You gotta. And we're gonna actually discover right now if this next person is the bleep too. Are you ready for
Cool.
that?
Let's get it.
I think I'm reading this one, right?
You
That's
are.
how taking
Wow.
turns works.
I Let me check my math. I am 0.01% sure.
Enough of the
That,
decimals. Enough of that. Enough. I
yeah,
hate it. I
I do
hate it.
believe it's your turn this time.
Will I be the asshole if I didn't include one of my polycule members in a book I'm writing? Can we define a polycule first? That way everyone knows what's going on. I'm actually a little unfamiliar with this term. Is this a Google search or do you know?
So I do think I know what it means. I'm gonna guess first, just and see how close I get. So polycule is a type of relationship where there are more than two people, and everyone who is in the relationship is dating one another. So
Ah,
a polycule is three or more people who are connected romantically and or sexually.
oh,
Is
that is the exact definition too.
Yep.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Just for anyone listening to it, I just wanted us to all be on the same page before, so you could get everything you needed to out of the story.
Yep. Sure.
Okay, so will I be the asshole if I didn't include one of my polycule members in a book I'm writing, posted by Writing AITA Poly, which seems appropriate? I, a 22-year-old female, am in a polycule with John, male 30, Lisa, female 25, Junie, non binary 22, Lucy, female 32, and Alex, female 22. Alex has always had an issue with me since she moved into the house. We are all roommates. I'm a full time history student. I have been working on a fantasy novel concerning a traveler attempting to find a treasure that was stolen from his family. The kingdom that this takes place in is a 5 biome kingdom with 5 rulers that happen to be in relationships with each other. I based 4 of the characters off of the other 4 members of the polycule and one on myself. Note, these are minor characters, and though the world is focused on their relationship, they have little to no sway over the plot. I started this novel while other people were dating Alex, but she had never been in my life until after I started writing. I want to get something straight. I have never wanted to, and probably never will, date Alex. I find her rude, abrasive, and condescending because she's a STEM student and likes to rub it in my face that I chose to study the arts. I am, however, dating all 4 of the others independently. I left my manuscript on my laptop and a drawing of the kingdom, as well as some costume/clothing designs I had made on the counter while I made dinner for the 5 of us, and Alex stumbled across it. She noticed that she was not included in the novel and complained to the other members of the polycule that she wasn't included. I clarified that I don't know her at all that well, and if she bothered to be friendly to me, I could have included her in the book. Junie, Lucy, and John are all on my side, with the opinion being it's my book and I should be able to include or exclude whoever I want. Lisa has taken Alex aside and said that if I want to include all the people I'm dating, I have to include Alex too. It's quite a romantic relationship that all the 5 characters have, and it's a happy one that has large amounts of compersion. Compersion.
I'm gonna guess
Oh,
comparison.
comparison. Like that's a new word too. Being happy to see your polysignificant other go on dates/spending time with their other partners. I feel pressure to add her, but I've spent so much time building this world around the people I love and care about. I just don't want to cause any fights or disdain. For as much as I dislike Alex, I respect her and value her as a member of the household. Am I the asshole?
No, no, I don't think you are. You know, it's funny. One of the reasons I didn't read this when I picked it, but I
We
read the
never do.
title,
We
and
never do.
we never do. And
Why
you
be
know, when I
prepared for anything?
exactly, well, when I read it, I'm like, I don't know a lot about polycules, and I wonder if it would change how I feel about what this person's about to say, and it doesn't. I think that even whether you're in a monogamous relationship or a polycule or anything in between, I think that um, the art that you create is yours, and you can do whatever you want with it. I think that having ownership over the things that you create, both in the sense that you should deal with the whatever the consequences it causes, and also have ownership in that you get to decide what it is and how it is, go hand in hand. And so I think there's two sides to this. I think that one, no, you do not need to change anything that is in your art, or your novel, as the case may be. But you do have to deal with the consequences of what it generates, and if it causes someone in your polycule to feel left out, that is a consequence that you have to deal with. It is not something you can write off by saying that you dislike this person, and therefore and it's your art, so whatever. You have hurt feelings. So you have hurt feelings, and you have hurt someone else's feelings, but there are hurt feelings, and that has to be dealt with. That is not, you cannot shirk that responsibility. Um, are you an asshole? Nah. Do you have some conversations to have, and to figure out what it is that's going on? Because there's an underlying problem here. I think we've understood. That's the thing that I'm getting at, is that there's an underlying issue. The fact that Alex feels like she is excluded is not just stemming from the fact that she's not in the book. It's excluded because there's beef, which I think has been illustrated quite well in the story. Because I get excluded from many things that I have no beef with the person, so I feel nothing. I'm just like, okay, that's fine. You're you, I'm me. Do your own thing, and I'll talk to you later. When there's beef, though, it triggers all the feelings that you have about the problems that you have with that person when you're excluded. And so that's probably where I would coach both. Well, I would coach everyone to not take sides. That's probably step one. In a relationship, any kind of relationship, there are no sides. It is all of you against the problem. But
Yeah, for sure.
the second thing I would say is that Alex and the original poster have some talking that they need to do, and stuff they need to figure out. And that's where that respect and value that the original poster has for Alex, that's where it's going to come in, and where it's going to come in handy.
Yeah, I think that's a really important thing to point out, because that last sentence, I just don't want to cause any fights or disdain. For as much as I dislike Alex, I still respect her and value her as a member of the household. Often when we dislike somebody, the other person knows, especially you're in your 20s, you're in your 30s, something's up. And we're perceptive people, especially if you're all living in a house together. If you still respect them and value them as a member of the household, have that conversation and just say, "Hey, I know we've had our beef, but I want you to know that I respect you and value you." That's an important conversation to have. And maybe there was like a getting off on the wrong foot. Maybe there were some things that happened when Alex moved in that made things complicated. Who knows? And those are some questions we'd want to ask as well. But when something is rubbing the wrong way, you have to have a conversation that squashes it, and saying that you respect and value them, which is something that, the original poster wrote here, is a great way to do that. Something else that could be part of that conversation too. There's a sentence. I started this novel while other people were dating Alex, but she had never been in my life until after I started writing. maybe if you're squashing it and having the conversation about value and respect, and this book does well, and maybe there's, what was the word? The 5 biomes. Maybe there's another biome that's added after, right? In the second book or the third book, and that's okay. So, to the question, will I be the asshole if I didn't include one of my polycule members in a book I'm writing? No. To your point, Dr. John, your art is your choice, and you should be able to express yourself in your art however you see fit. Also, Alex looked at your laptop without your permission and saw it, and that's where everything stemmed from. It's kind of like that eavesdrop kind of vibe. But definitely you should have that conversation with your housemate about, and polycule member about, respect and value, because everybody else has that relationship, but you and Alex do not. So that's an important thing to have as a conversation. Absolutely. But you're not the asshole.
So they're not the asshole. Yeah, they're
No, I agree. I think I started off by saying that because I've definitely gotten feedback. And if you're listening to this at home or watching it, feel free to let us know. Like, we're trying to bridge this weird gap of being like entertaining and like, yeah, they're the asshole. No, they're not the asshole. Yes, they're kind of the asshole. No, not really the asshole. But also offering coaching and being on people's sides and trying to like lift them up. So if you have any suggestions on like what would be interesting to you, or if you have any posts that you want us to, read and go through on the show as well, you can comment on any of our videos. We're on TikTok at Am I the Bleep, Instagram at Journal That Talks Back. We are on all podcasting platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts is coming out soon. Or you can even email us at Jonathan's at the journal that talks back.com. Dr. John Rom, well, where else can they find us?
we're on Poupe Girl.
Come on, are we really?
Poupe with an accent aigu.
Poupe.
EGIRL, a Japanese avatar in fashion community.
We got to talk to our distributor, I think.
Yeah, no, we're on Poupe Girl.
Perfect. Give them a raise.
I put us on there yesterday. We're on there. Good. So hit us up on Poupe Girl. I love saying Poupe Girl. Can that be the title of this episode? Poupe Girl.
We'll see. Yeah, Shrek and shoulder pads did the worst so far. So
Did it? Okay, fair enough. Fine. I guess. Am I the asshole for being the Poupe Girl?
Well, we'll still give you the raise for distributing there. That's pretty good.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And
so,
yeah. Well, what do you have? Stop interrupting me, man.
Never. I can't. I love interrupting you to end the show. It's my
we
favorite
started
thing.
with this being I'm the asshole, but I think the shoe's on the other foot.
That's fair. So we usually end the show with a quote that that lets us grow and think and become who we want to be over the intervening week or weeks as we think about what we listened to today. And today's quote is, "What is an asshole without love for mankind?"